In this video, I will talk in more detail about the civilization of white people with whom I interacted in forest, on a sacred place in forest by Ladoga Lake up north from St. Petersburg in Russia. I already told the beginning of this story in my previous video about the moment how I first interacted with the white girl, how I first picked up on her. And here I'll just tell more how that story unfolded and the information I received later. So when I returned back from that place where I just interacted with the girl for the first time, I came back to our camp, and me and my friend who was with me, we started telling everyone, sharing the experience, telling about like what we just seen and who we interacted with, start sharing it with the people from the camp. And one of the supervisors came to see me, and when he heard about the whole thing, that how I was being pulled into the woods, and he got kind of mad for us even going there in the first place, because we were all informed that like that sacred place is like we're not supposed to go there by ourselves. We were supposed to go there a few days later with a group, with the teachers and supervisors, so that like to arrange and make everything safe. And so he was mad that we broke that rule and we went there alone and we took that risk. And when he heard what was happening, of course he freaked out. The idea, if I would be just lost somewhere in the wood, he would probably be the one responsible for that situation. So nobody wanted that trouble, so I was told not to go there again. And if I was so easily affected, if I was so sensitive, and so like I was picking up on those frequencies so easily, and that I could just get like taken away or possessed or whatever else. So this supervisor, who was a shaman, he told me not to go there. But as the moment when I was there, I actually made a promise to that spirit that I will come back tomorrow and bring her some candy. I gave her that word, and now I was sitting kind of like confused, like I'm not allowed to go. So I told that to the shaman, that like, but come on, how is that? Like I actually gave her a promise, I gave her my word. And he said, okay, all right, we'll go there together with the group. And he said he'll accompany me, and he asked me not to go there again alone, and to wait for him, and so that next day we can go together, and he will control the whole thing and the whole process. And so that's what we did. Next day we went there with a big group, and group was doing their own thing, and me and this shaman, experienced shaman, who was also my supervisor in this camp, he took me to the side, and he asked me to try to connect with that girl again, and he would be asking questions, and I would be getting the answer from her and channeling the information back to him. And I agreed. Okay, let's do it. We were out again on like around the same spot, and I picked up on that same signal very easily, that voice, and the girl just like she connected so easily right away. And he started asking questions about like who she was, and what was that like why she's there, and what was that civilization, and all that stuff. He started asking, because basically myself, I was able to channel, I guess, because I didn't actually have any questions of my own. I didn't have any issues to solve. I didn't have any questions to ask. So I was just open and relaxed. So that's why I was suitable for being used as a channel. I was really open to receive and more or less like clearly interpret the information. So he started asking like who she was, and she started showing me like visions, like clear pictures of the like herself and her people were living in that area, as she said. And actually, like while she was talking, another woman appeared behind her, and I could sense that that second woman was like older, and that was her mother, who was also there, stuck also with her. And I actually wasn't bothered by the fact that they were stuck. That was more of the question of the shaman. He was asking like, why are you two here? Why are you stuck? Like, why are you in this area? What are you doing here? And they started explaining that this was their place. This was where they were living with their whole like with their people, how they were saying, with their nation or civilization. What word should I use for that? I don't know. So they were living there, and their level of advancement of the consciousness was pretty high, as I understood, because they were living on like very high frequencies, as like from the explanations that I was picking up. They were like more in that frequency of peace and acceptance and love and gratitude, and their like whole living, their whole lifestyle, how they started opening up the vision, the picture of how this area looked, how it looks. It still looks that way to them. So there, she was just showing me how she sees this, not like as we perceive this as just a forest, but she started showing me the visions of like this whole area being like occupied by people, and they were living like in such harmony with nature. And like I was like watching them moving at such a slow speed. They were like so relaxed. I don't know, they were walking slowly, moving slowly, like more fluid maybe, like that I was picking up on the energy of that space, was that it was so peaceful. It was so close to nature. It was like, and they explained that this whole civilization was like they were living in total agreement with the nature, let's say. And so the shaman kept asking questions like, so then where is everyone else, like what happened? And the mother started talking and saying that the enemies came, like some intruders came, let's say. The concept she used was more like invaders, intruders came from the water. She showed in that direction where the lake was, and she said from that side the evil came. She said the intruders came and invaded, like came with invasion, with attack. And the shaman asked, and what happened? Did you fight? Did your people fight? Because like I was able to see that their nation, they were not like weak. They were like, I saw the men that I was like observing in that whole picture. They were like warriors. They were like strong and healthy and like full of energy. They were not primitive. They were advanced, and they were advanced past the warrior stage. That's the what I picked up on. And the woman said that when that intruder and when that enemy came, our men could not fight. And that was like weird, like thing to pick up on, because like somebody is invading your country, your village, whatever it is. And because simply how the way they explained is that the frequency of this their consciousness was already so high that their men could not fight. They could not like they knew like that these enemies are coming with war, and if they will fight back, uh, like there was no such option. They couldn't fight back. They were already in consciousness of acceptance and surrender and like love and light. And so when the intruder came, they all got killed, and they passed on to another realm. That's like how the way they gave that information to me, the way that I was able to interpret what they were showing me. And the shaman who was with me, he asked, he asked like, where is everyone else? And the woman said like they all left. They all left in that moment when they were attacked, and they allowed the enemy to kill them. They were killed, and so they were able to move on, to get out of here. And when they were killed, they like transcended. They left this dimension, and they're all gone. That woman said, because of the fact when they were attacked, they did not fight back. They did not resist. The fact that they did not resist allowed them to leave this dimension, let's say, like hard to find specific exact words. So they're all gone, she said, like they're like all my people are gone. And the shaman like asked a question like, and why are you here? Like you, like, because I couldn't see anyone else actually there. I was able only to pick up on this girl who was constantly dancing, like young girl, age like hard to, I'm not good with like numbers and names, so I would say like young girl, maybe 18, maybe 16, 18, 20, 21, somewhere in there, like young and pretty and full of life. And she's dancing and turning and like whirling all the time, and she's so playful and beautiful and white. Actually, like that one, why I'm calling these people white is because like from all the like my perception of this girl, of her mother, and what they showed me later, like all of them, like they're white, as the skin is white, their clothes are like everything that they're dressed in, their hair is white, like everything that I can see, everything has that white, like clear white color, hair, skin, whatever they're dressed in. And so that's why I call them white, basically. And she, like, I was able to pick up only on these two, like I couldn't observe anyone else around. And the shaman asked like, why two of you are still here? And the mother gave me the emotion. She had the resistance. She said in that moment when the enemy came, when the enemy attacked, she showed me the feeling that she had, and it was like she felt anger. How you say, she couldn't accept the fact. She said like, I can't, okay, I can go, but the girl, she said, but my girl, my daughter, it was basically like her daughter, and she said like, she's so young, so pretty, so full of life, like she hasn't lived yet. Why her? Why she should die? And that emotion that a mother had, feeling like anger, resistance, and like she didn't accept the fact, like why you're like the men are not fighting for us, like why we have to surrender, why, okay, me, kill me, all right, but my daughter, what has she done? Why doesn't she get to experience like the beauty of life? Mother's resistance is what kept her stuck. Like they got killed as well, but if others were in the state of acceptance in their moment of death, so they all like passed and were able to transcend and leave this dimension. But because mother was resisting like what's happening, she got stuck, and her daughter got stuck because of her. That's what I've received. because like I didn't feel anything like the daughter. I didn't feel any resistance in the daughter herself. Like she didn't even understand what happened. She's still dancing. She was like, she didn't understand in the moment. She was enjoying the process, and she's still dancing. She still didn't understand what happened. But because of mother's resistance, they both got stuck. They both got trapped and attached to that spot. And ages and ages, that it happened like ages ago, but mother is still experiencing that same emotion of resistance to the fact that men are not fighting to protect us, and that this is not right. Like she's still experiencing that emotion, so she's still stuck, and daughter is stuck with her because like she's connected fully. That's what I picked up on. And then he was asking more and more questions on the details of how they were living and what they were doing. Like those details are just like more details about like how like that attack happened and how their like living was organized and so on. It was basically for me, like those details are not fun for me, so I don't go into them here. uh, when we finished up that story, uh, like closed the conversation, like thanked them, and the shaman was taking me like back to our camp. He told me like he didn't tell me before, but apparently there was information about someone contacting white civilization, some kind of civilization in that area before. And in fact, as they told me later, that this place became popular and became like famous as a sacred site after a book that's been published like years ago by one of like well known in Russia, like let's say like esoterics, or like whatever he calls himself, Monosov is his last name. And he published a book in which he is telling about his own encounter with like a civilization of like similar kind in this specific area. After he published the book, this place became known, and that's why we're here actually. They told me about this book after this whole experience. So when shaman was asking me, he was kind of like comparing the things that I'm describing with what he read about this place before, and they were similar in many aspects, as I understood. I still haven't read that book, so like I guess from what he said, that he was describing them in a similar way, maybe not exactly in the same details that what I was seeing, but similar in many ways. And so basically, with that like scientific, let's say, experiment with the shaman, it was over after he asked all of his questions. We were able to leave these two ladies alone and go back to the camp and return to our like normal routine, which was planned. We were supposed to like have classes and study and stuff. And so that's what we agreed. I gave a promise to everyone that I'm not gonna go there again. Like I'm done with that place, and I said, okay, fine, that's fine. I did not realize at that moment that like I was sure that like we left them there and we went back to camp. I didn't realize that the girl came with me. That was the funny part started right there, because like I was sure I left her there and I'm back to the camp, and then funny things started happening, because like I like many little things. I can just give few examples of how weird it was at that moment. Basically, what I realized, that I was like, my consciousness was still like in between this physical reality, like my own self, and in between like still being connected with her consciousness. And when I realized, like when we were back at the camp, I started like noticing that she's still around. She's still turning, or like turning around, like among the trees and stuff, following me around, which was like, all right, I didn't realize she can come with me. But she was not disturbing me in any way. I was feeling pretty comfortable. And then she started playing like funny things on the people around. She just started telling me what people are like, what is bothering that person, for example, at this moment, or what does that person like, random, like there's like a lot of people there in that camp, and she would just come and give me that information like about that person wants this, that person is doing this, that person is thinking this. And I was just sitting and uh, like I had no idea what I'm supposed to do with that information, but she was trying to again do that pulling thing with me. She was trying to like take my will, control my will, and do things through me, which I felt kind of like more or less relaxed at that time, where I was fine with it. So I allowed her to do certain things. She would like use my body as like an avatar, as a vessel. I was cool with that. So she would come and tell to people answers to the questions that were bothering that person at that specific time. And people started like freaking out because it was like cool but weird at the same time, like because like nobody in that camp knew me personally, so to them it was me, like Irada, some like just a stranger, like a classmate, which whom they've never seen in person, coming up to them and answering their most important question that they have, like secret question that they have on their mind at this moment. And I come up to them and tell them the answer. It was like it started getting weird at that point, because like people were like, they were receiving these answers from me, and they were like, what is happening? They were like, it started like getting weird. People started bringing me like kind of like worshipping like in a funny way, bringing me some gifts and things, and I don't know, they started worshipping that entity. I don't know, but it was in me, so they were bringing all that stuff to me, so that was funny. And suddenly, like by my tent appeared a big black, like huge black cat, which was weird because we were like in the middle of a forest where like a cat is not supposed to be there. Where did that come from? Like, no idea. It was just sitting by the entrance to my tent, like kind of like guarding the entrance to my tent in the middle of the forest. These kind of like little things were funny, entertaining. And then I got to observe, like after it was like a while of time passed of like entertaining people by reading their intentions and minds, and that part was funny. But then after a while I realized that while that white girl is using me as her own body, occupying me basically, and I felt good, like energized but relaxed at the same time. Like I felt safe, totally safe under her will, and I enjoyed that state of knowing things and seeing things. I was enjoying it, and after a while I started realizing that in that state, like I did not experience hunger, or like I didn't feel like any. I couldn't feel cold. I couldn't feel hungry. I couldn't feel tired, sleepy, or like none of these like normal human things. Like I wasn't. I stopped experiencing them. I didn't sleep like that first day. Like after, like for the period of 3.5 days, like I didn't feel sleepy at all. I didn't sleep. Like when everyone went off to sleep, I just found things to do. I was just cooking breakfast for everyone, or I was just doing things. And normally the Ladoga Lake, which is like freezing cold, even though it was summer, July, it is very, very, very cold for me. I normally cannot enter like even like more than up to my ankles. It's already too freezing, like too cold. I cannot um, enter that water normally, but under that girl, I was swimming, like full scale swimming in that lake. Early in the morning, while everyone is still sleeping, I would just go for a swim, and I could not repeat that again when I'm in my normal condition. I in the freezing water, but I couldn't feel cold. I didn't feel sleepy. I didn't feel tired. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. Like I felt fully energized and fully like connected, and without rest, without food, your like human body is able to function perfectly without these things, but there are some consequences, which we need to first learn to work with. And the girl played a few funny things that I really enjoyed watching. When, as I told you, she was like dancing around, turning all the time, and like her dancing and turning, like didn't affect me because like I'm pretty stable as when I walk, and most of the time I don't dance when I'm around people and during interactions and stuff. But she's dancing all the time and whirling and turning, and I was remember sitting, just like sitting, talking to my friends after, like in the evening, after all the our classes were done on the second day maybe, and she just kept pulling me, like with she would kind of like insert her own desires, her own will into mine. It would like my will and her will would merge, and I would feel like it's my own desire to do something. And in that specific, and I would like surrender to it in most cases, because she was doing like nice things most of the time, weird sometimes, but not too bad. But in that moment, she was pulling me, and I was feeling as if I want to dance. And we were like, and it was kind of like a pretty serious gathering. And just like little side note, there was no substances taken, like no drugs, no alcohol, no, like I was not under any chemicals or something while I was seeing these visions. Just a little side note. So this place was pretty like serious, like people were actually studying. We were having like real classes and lectures, and like, or during the daytime, and in the evening everyone was actually resting. It was like pretty solid place. And when like she started pulling me into like to make me wanna dance, I started like resisting, like no, this is too much, like I'm not gonna do that, like, and I kept pushing myself back, like no, I'm not. And I felt that it was clearly her will at that time to make me wanna dance, and I was able to resist so easily. I just kept sitting. And then what she did was like an example of like, after that case, really I understand like how entities are able to possess people's will or whatever, and how it all works in ordinary world. I can see it because there it was she was not some evil entity, but so she allowed me to observe the mechanism, how it works. So what happened is that when she tried to pull me to want to dance and I resisted, I started like observing something funny start happening. Like there were like people who were all around me in this part of the camp. First, one of the girls was like, she started like slowly started moving, kind of like dancing, kind of like she started like expressing like, hey guys, you know what, I feel like dancing. And she started like, and she starts dancing like out of nowhere, and as if like she feels it's her own desire. And I'm sitting back and I'm watching, observing. I realize that this is my girl doing that, like she's like possessing the will of that, of those people. One girl at first, then second girl, then like third girl. Then there were actually two guys sitting right there in the same group. One of these guys said that he had never danced ever before. Like in his whole life, he said, I never danced, but now I feel like dancing, he says. And that started getting more and more funny for me, because like I'm observing, I'm sitting, I clearly see that it is her will. It's her. She's doing that. But the people once she gets control over the will, they don't understand that it's not their own desire. It truly feels as if it's your own. And the girl is like, she really feels like she wants to dance. She's dancing, another one is dancing, this boy starts dancing. There is no music, by the way, like they're dancing all without any music. And it starts getting more and more weird, because there's already like group of 5 people, I guess, dancing. And like, basically, I don't know, I think someone opened like started some song on the phone or something. And then one more girl from the same group goes to her car, pulls that car all the way back to where we were sitting, opens the door and starts music with like to the full capacity of that car. So it starts getting like real chaotic. Like it's like some dance party already, like music fully on, and everyone around is affected, and everyone is like a dance party now. Like everyone is dancing, and just so you know, like there was no alcohol, there was no substances. It was all just this willpower of this one entity who wanted to dance. She wanted to dance. She wanted everyone to dance. So she made everyone want to do it. So she made everyone want to dance, and they started dancing, and it was like weird. It was weird. It continued for several hours, until the people in other groups of that camp, it was split into sections. It was already getting really late and dark, and they were like, okay guys, enough, it's time for us to, you're having fun, but we were like trying to sleep there, and just like, can you just stop it? But the people, they couldn't stop. They were like so under the effect of this willpower of this entity, who just didn't feel like stopping. So they picked up the speaker, and they went off to the seaside, like by the lakeside, let's say, on the sand. They put up that speaker, and they kept dancing for a few more hours, like non-stop. Just that, it was totally weird. And when it stopped, it was already like, I don't know, like 3, 4, maybe 3 a.m. And I can't clearly say, but in the middle of the night, they finally like all fell down, like so exhausted, when I guess the girl had enough of dancing. And suddenly they were like, as if you're like awakened from under some spell, and they were like looking at each other and like, what was I doing? Like, why was I doing this? Why was I dancing? Like, what happened? It felt weird to them after they came out after from that effect. It was just clear to me only, I guess, because like I saw how it began. I knew it's the girl. I knew that she made them all dance. And this showed me a power of like these entities, that like how they can actually manipulate people, how easy it is for them to take over the willpower of a person, of people, or of groups. And the people in that group, they actually do feel in that process, in that moment, they feel as if it's their own desire. That's like the weirdest part. They are unable to resist, because they don't understand the difference between their own will and that will that is being like inserted from outside. So that was one of the events, and there were many. This whole experience, it lasted for I like to say I was under the girl. I was under that girl for 3.5 days, I guess. And on that 4th day, the same supervisor, the shaman, whom I already mentioned, he came to talk to me and to convince me to disconnect from that entity. He explained to me that I don't have the skills of like interacting with these entities yet, and like basically he explained to me that this looks like I'm being possessed. To which I replied, of course, that I don't feel like any discomfort from this possession. Even if I am possessed, I'm feeling quite fine and I'm enjoying this whole thing. But he explained, but come on, like there is a difference. There's like she's using your body, and she's not aware that you have like physical needs, like your body needs rest, your body needs food, your body needs like certain conditions. And because the spirit, she doesn't need food, she doesn't need rest, she doesn't like have those needs, so she doesn't realize that the body needs it, so she can just destroy your body. That's what he like told me. And I was like, oh, but I was feeling fine. I tried to like convince him like I'm really enjoying this state, because like it's so cool. You don't need food, you don't need rest, and you feel like you're like, you really, it feels like you're on drugs, on some kind of drugs, because you're constantly in that different state of mind. And it's so cool to just stay in that state all the time, like constantly, like day and night. And it felt just so amazing. And I was like, can I please stay? Can I please stay under that? Can I please stay possessed? It just feels so good. She's not harming me. She's not making me do bad things. She's not like using me for something bad. She's giving me information. Actually, she was giving some really, really interesting visions she was showing sometimes. And I've learned a lot from that experience. Like it really expanded my awareness and my consciousness, and it was really useful to me in many ways. But the supervisor convinced that okay, we're here responsible for you, for your life, for your safety, and if something happens to you, to your body, like we will have to pay for it. So he convinced me to let her go, and I said, okay, all right, okay, let's do it. How do we do it? And I realized that I don't have the skills. Like, first he explained to me that I don't have the skills of dealing with these entities properly, and she can, by accident, she can damage my body. And so I agreed, okay, let's disconnect. Let's try to let her go. And then we figured out, like, I don't know how to do that either. And so he said it's fine. We're like, there's like a huge group of like magicians, and very like well known in Russia. Some like there were some guys, one specifically, who won some, I don't know, some award for some magical competition or some TV show where he was like announced to be like the most powerful, I don't know, in that witchcraft. And it was just weird when they said like, okay, we have this guy here, he can do it, he can do that ritual of like removing that spirit out of your body. And I was like, all right, okay guys, you're professionals, let's do it. And they took me to the closer to the water in that free space, and we were supposed to do that ritual in which this famous magician, or whoever he calls himself, I don't know, he came with like a huge knife, like real sharp knife, came with that right to my face, right to my nose, and he tried to like scare me with, like, he made like really scary faces and tried to talk with scary voice, like yelling and shouting and like looking into my eyes and telling her like, get out of there, like get out, like I will kill you, I'm like, he tried to frighten that white girl, who was just like, it was so funny. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. It's like this gives like no effect. It has absolutely no effect on me or on that girl. Like, it's funny. Like, you're not scaring anyone with that knife. And that was like that's kind of like my relationship with all the magicians and all this, and people who are successful in that field. They basically they couldn't, he didn't understand what he is dealing with. So the girl, she just laughed and she was like this is funny, I'm not gonna take this boy seriously. So that one had to go, it didn't work. Then the shaman, the supervisor that I mentioned before, he suggested like to try the shamanic way, shamanic approach, which was closer to me because like I've been taught by shamans before, so I was like in previous lifetimes I've been doing that, so that was a practice very close to me. And he told me to, let's just like, do you know a way? He asked me, like, do you know a way how we can do it? And I basically had a feeling that it should just be my own decision, and I just need some assistance in terms of like, if he can come with his drum, shamanic drum, if he can just help me with that drum, help me focus on that one single spot, then I will make my intention, and focusing on that spot, I will disconnect. I will make my intention come true, let's say like that. And actually, I believe this method works with like with dealing with any kind of possessions, let's say, like things like, I don't know, like alcoholism and all kinds of drug addiction and all kinds of things, because I regard them as a similar thing. When there is an entity which has occupied your body while you were gone, kind of like you were absent in the body, your consciousness was not there, so the vessel was empty, so some mermaid or somebody occupied it. So in order to, and then it wants to dance or drink or do drugs or go crazy, and it's just using your body. I believe that that same ritual is like, that was the only way to actually let her go. It had to be my decision, my agreement to let her go, and with my intention, assistance of a shaman was to help me focus. And so that's what he did. I just made that decision. I closed my eyes. He was standing by me with his drum, and he was just keeping the same stable rhythm, drumming right in front of me. And I was able to just focus all of my attention on just that one sound of the drum, with full focus on just one signal of the sound only, full focus on that, concentration on that sound, and my decision, my intention to let her go is what disconnected me. And I really felt at the moment of that concentration, it just took a few minutes maybe. And when I opened my eyes, I looked around, and I was so, it was like everything looked so gray. I didn't realize that under the girl, everything was so much more colorful. Like everything around me. Like tastes, smells, all the signals, they were so much more intense, so much more tasty, so much more bright, so much more deep, colorful. And when we did this separation thing, ritual, and I opened my eyes, I suddenly realized, like, this life is so gray. This reality is so flat. It's so gray and flat. That was the feeling in that moment. And I guess that's why the addicts don't want to let go of their addictions, because like life is so much more colorful under that thing, whatever is occupying their body. And without it, yeah, it is much more gray. And it was like, okay, my decision, all right, okay, I'll deal with this grayness now. I'll have to add colors all by myself, which is much harder, I guess. It requires work, but it's doable. So that's the ending of that story. I guess I'll stop this video here, and I'll tell one more story from that forest, which taught me a huge thing about the system of tarot, let's say. Like this is like what situation that happened, which made me which gave me much better understanding of how our reality is structured, and how the tarot deck and major arcana, what are they, how are they supposed to be used. And that realization I received in that forest too. So I'll make one more video just about that tarot thing. And this one is done, so see you. Bye bye for now.